Finally, some more training camp stories. It's so fun to have the NFL back, and even if it's just training camp, have all these stories out. But we've covered the Brandon Aiyuk issues. We've covered the Brandon Aiyuk contract disputes. We know he's holding in. For those of you that don't know, holding in is basically being at training camp, but not partaking in anything. Jordan Love is doing this, and now Brandon Aiyuk is doing this. And now adding to that list, holding out, which is not showing up at all at training camp, Trent Williams. I know San Francisco 49ers fans don't want to hear this because they've been invincible outside of Patrick Mahomes for the past couple of years. Trent Williams holding out is a massive liability to the San Francisco 49ers. What's the one thing San Francisco 49ers media members and fans are humble about? Their offensive line kind of stinks. It's very average. I'd say even pedestrian at times. Trent Williams has all the leverage. And Trent Williams, who's due to make, I believe, $35 million in year 38 of his life, is now asking for a raise. His base salary this year is second in the NFL at $20 million a year, second only to Jordan Mailata. The 49ers had all their focus put on. We got the Brock Purdy contract in the future, but we got to figure out this Brandon Aiyuk deal now, or are we going to ship him off? Now you add to that fold Trent Williams. That is a scary sight for 49ers fans. Trent Williams, I had a 49ers fan tell me the other day, well, hopefully he's a team player and they figure it out. Trent Williams, I don't mean this in a bad way towards Trent Williams, because get your bag, man, has never been a team player. Make no mistake at the contracts that he's had the past couple of years. Those were front-loaded with signing bonuses, and I understand his base salary wasn't a lot because they were trying to lower the salary cap, and you do that by front-loaded contracts, converting it into signing bonuses, and Trent Williams has done that. But not to mention, when he was on the Commanders, he held out all the way until the trade deadline one year. This guy cares about his money. And if the 49ers, who have now had what I'd said before, noisy off seasons almost always lead to disappointing regular seasons, when you add the Ricky Pearsall's on PUP, three guys, Brock Purdy, who's had injuries before, Deebo Samuel has had injuries before, four guys, Christian McCaffrey, who's had injuries before, and George Kittle, who's had injuries before. Really, the main three, the big three of those guys, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Christian McCaffrey, have all had major injuries, who have all missed time before. You add that story, along with the Brock Purdy contract coming up next year, along with Brandon Aiyuk's contract disputes, which have been very loud, the Trent Williams contract disputes, which are now massively loud because that offensive line is not very good. It's pedestrian at times. Dre Greenlaw's coming back from a torn Achilles. Ricky Pearsall is on the PUP list. At some point, noisy off seasons do lead to disappointing regular seasons. Now, the San Francisco 49ers have a lot of depth on their team, and they have a clear coaching advantage in almost everything with Kyle Shanahan. I'll ask this simple question. Are the San Francisco 49ers slowly on the road to being the most disappointing team in the NFL this year? Trent Williams is holding out. Brandon Aiyuk contract dispute, which has been loudly documented. Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle have all had injury concerns. The defense at times was abysmal last year. And then you add the Ricky Pearsall's on PUP. These are some of the issues that are mounting for the San Francisco 49ers. And this is clearly the last year for the San Francisco 49ers Super Bowl juggernaut. This is the last dance. You got Brock Purdy's contract coming up in a couple of months here. You're going to have to give him $50 million. And I understand San Francisco 49ers fans have just thought money grows on trees because that's what it's felt like because you haven't been paying your quarterback anything. Brock Purdy's going to get $50 million. You don't have a choice. They are going to have to figure out the Trent Williams contract because you cannot afford for him to be gone. And then Brandon Aiyuk. You're not keeping all three. I'd argue some of the guys you might have to cut. I believe this is George Kittle's last year with the San Francisco 49ers. That's a guy they're probably going to have to cut next year. That's a cap casualty. Brandon Aiyuk, I don't think they're going to allocate $30 million to him. Trent Williams, We'll see what he's going to do there. You're going to keep around Christian McCaffrey. But Brock Purdy's been a very good soldier, and that contract is looming. This is the last dance for the San Francisco 49ers. This is the last dance. I know money hasn't existed, but that Brock Purdy contract is coming up quickly, but quietly. And that's going to be $50 million a year minimum. This is a guy that didn't make any money in his first contract. He's got to make some of that up. Trent Williams is holding out. Brandon Aiyuk is holding in. The 49ers are starting to have a money problem. You can't just continue to convert everything to a signing bonus. Are the 49ers quietly flailing? Are they on the track to potentially be the most disappointing team in the NFL? Noisy off seasons almost always lead to disappointing regular seasons. And this Brandon Aiyuk thing, this Trent Williams thing, at first the Brandon Aiyuk thing was just like, okay, we're going to figure it out. Ricky Pearsall goes on PUP. The first clear domino to fall in this alarm-ringing system that is the San Francisco 49ers, Trent Williams. You cannot afford to not have Trent Williams on your team this year. And San Francisco 49ers fans know it. San Francisco media fans know it. And San Francisco NFL, everyone knows it. And this offensive line without Trent Williams could completely be catastrophic to the San Francisco 49ers season. When you combine all these things with as well the potential for a Super Bowl hangover, we know that's a thing. It's hard getting back to the top of the mountain again. The 49ers could quite possibly be a quietly flailing team in the NFL. And potentially, with all these stories, with all these issues, with all these things coming out of the woodwork, potentially be the most disappointing team in the NFL this season.